Good day. This is Munir Ajam. I am the CEO of the Uruk Project Management, and we are developing the Uruk platform. Today, we want to talk about a timely topic for us, which is fundraising. And I will talk about the different ways startup raise funds. One way is basically the founders, especially if there are more than one, they can work together without salaries, without raising fund, maybe using their own personal fund in a bootstrap mode. However, that is usually not sustainable for the long time. So startup will have to revert to some form of fundraising. Usually the first type of fundraising they can do, especially in the early stages when they only have an idea, is through family and friends. And in the Uruk case, we did raise funds from friends and family and colleagues, people we know either personally or we've never met, but we know online, who have believed in the idea of the Uruk platform and they decided to invest. So one way is friend and family. They come, put together some funds, some money, and usually that helped the founders start to work on their product or their project for a while. However, usually that amount is not enough. So sooner or later, the startup will have to come back to get more funding. And in that case, most likely, there are different platforms, there are different ways of raising funds, but one of the common ways is what we call crowdfunding. And there are different types of crowdfunding, such as reward-based, equity-based, and what somebody might call revenue sharing, crowdfunding. Obviously, if you are working on a consumer product, maybe reward-based, you want to raise money for charity, reward-based might work. However, when we are talking about companies like Uruk, and we are developing a solution for organization, not for directly for the consumer, the only option in crowdfunding might be, or at least as an initial option, what we call equity crowdfunding. Now, what is equity crowdfunding? Equity crowdfunding is basically when the public, under certain regulation by the US, there are something called regulation crowdfunding. People can invest anywhere from $200, $100, all the way to $100,000 or so. They invest through a platform. For Uruk, we are using WeFunder as a platform for raising funds. And in this case, the individual, the public, anyone can invest whatever amount they feel comfortable with. And in return, they will get some kind of document to verify or to validate that they have invested. And usually they are investing for the future. And ultimately, those funds will be converted to equity, to shares, stocks in the company. So technically, equity crowdfunding, when you invest in an equity crowdfunding platform in a company, you are actually indirectly buying future shares in this company. In the past, maybe before more than 10 years ago, that wasn't possible. I mean, individuals could not invest into companies that are startup. So equity crowdfunding is a platform. We have raised money through WeFunder last year, and now we are doing another round. We started a couple of 2-3 weeks ago, and we already closed about $60,000 in fund that we have raised. We will share some links with the video later. So that's another form of fundraising, which is equity-based crowdfunding. The third type would be for companies probably who have very hot technology or something, or maybe the founders are well-known, or maybe the company already have some traction in the market. The other option would be what we call angel investors or accredited investors. Accredited investor is the classification given in the US for people who are usually considered have enough money and they do understand the investment market. And typically what that means these people are probably have quite a bit of money. The net worth or they have high salaries. So basically, these are the type of people who should know enough about investing and the risk of investing. And usually angel investors, they could come, or accredited investor could be in groups, or they could be individuals, and they could be investing anywhere from maybe $10,000 plus all the way to, I don't think there is a limitation on how much an angel investor can, or accredited investor can invest, unless there is some restriction in the platform. The third form is what we call venture capital, and usually those are mostly for the late stage startup. Usually companies who have already been in the market, they are generating revenues. Obviously, some venture capital companies invest into what we call pre-seed startup, which means companies that are pre-revenue or still the early stages of going to market. However, venture capital typically are institutions that they are licensed to invest in startup. And with this, we close this video. We'll share some links about the Uruk fundraising that we have ongoing. Thank you.